If I went back to the skinny fat era, where I had no confidence, I hated how I looked, couldn't attract women, I felt trapped, I felt invisible. This is exactly what I do to get shredded and feel like a G within 90 days. Now, if you can hear a chicken, your ears aren't deceiving you. There are multiple chickens on the wall between my villa and the neighbours, so you're gonna have to put up with that for the video, but it adds character, boys. This is Bali life, jungle life. And this would be such an easy process, right? It's not because I'm a coach and I understand the biology and I know how to get people in elite level shape. It's because I understand from experiencing the problem myself exactly what is actually going on, because this is just as much of a psychological issue as it is a physiological issue. Now, both play a part, and I'm going to cover both angles within this video. But going through the process myself, but then helping other people to do it, I've seen every way in which the problem manifests, but also every way in which a solution can be applied, because while the problem and the solution are under one umbrella, there are unique situations and circumstances that each individual faces, and I've dealt with this dozens and dozens of times. So I'm very well versed on fixing this, and I want to share that with you guys. I know how to feed the mind exactly what you need and what you're missing right now. I've been super skinny, boys. I'm 6'3". I'm currently 96 kilos. In university, I think I was like 77 kilos. I was stick thin, I was lanky, and I hated it. I was often the tallest person in the room, but I was always the skinniest person in the room as well. And I hated it. Like, I stood out so much, but I also at the same time felt invisible. And I've also been fat. There's no other way to put it. You can say it's a bulk. That's how I kind of packaged it up at the time. I was trying to bulk, but I ended up fat. I was 17 stone, which is about 108 kilograms, and I didn't carry it well. Some people carry a lot of weight very well. I didn't. It all went to my face. I just looked horrendous. I looked shit in clothes. I looked shit out of clothes. And I've also been stuck in the skinny fat position in between being super skinny and then being fat. I understand how frustrating and how stuck you actually feel and how confusing it is. It doesn't feel like there is a fix. But you need to understand this, guys, there is a fix. And unless you're from Mars or outer space and somehow the law of thermodynamics doesn't apply to you, then there's a fix and there's a blueprint. And that's what I'm going to cover in this video. Let's cover this from two angles, okay? Physiology and strategy, which is like the training, calories, expenditure, but then psychology. This is the missing link. So the psychology is touching more on who you are, how you operate, how you think, how you act. Unless you've got one fucking brain cell, you know how to lose body fat. You understand the calorie deficit, it makes sense, it's science at the end of the day. If your dog's fat and you take it to the vets, their advice is always feed it less and walk it more. Humans are no different. You understand if you're carrying body fat right now, and I know this is one element to the skinny fat, right? You don't have a lot of muscle as well. But if you're carrying body fat, you already understand that you need to eat less, you need to move more. So if you understand how to fix it, but you haven't fixed it, then we need to look or go down a different route, which is where the psychology comes in. This is probably not the first video you've watched on fixing skinny fat, but if you're still in that position, something between receiving the information and then transferring it into action and fixing it, something's being lost in translation or we're not applying it properly. And a big part of this is effort. How hard have you actually tried? Something I ask myself often, and I ask it more in a business sense because my fitness is so on lock these days, I don't really have to question my effort with my training and nutrition. It's just always running like clockwork. But what I ask myself all of the time with life and personal growth and business, have I tried hard or have I moved mountains? Those two things are very, very different. You can try hard, but you can still leave 60% of the effort you could put in on the table. And this has always been my thought process when it came to ultramarathons, and it was why I got into it. David Goggins talks about the 40% rule. When you're done, you're only really 40% done. You've got so much more left. You just haven't refined the skill or practiced the skill enough to actually tap into the remaining 60%. And what I would always ask myself when I got into ultra running is, if I had a gun to my head, how far could I run now? So all right, you've never run, let's say, a half marathon. It seems like a very long way, but if somebody had a gun to your head and the furthest you've ever ran at that moment in time is 10 kilometers, or they had a gun up to your family's head or your girlfriend's head, how far could you go and run? Well, the answer is you could probably run hundreds of kilometers having never ran 20. Now, why can't we access this all of the time, right? Well, part of that is our emotional state and our emotional buy-in to what we're actually doing. And this is step one. We need to create an incredibly strong why for the mission. We need to set the tone and set the intention for what we're trying to achieve. This is foundational. Now, a quote springs to mind here. If you give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, I'll spend the first 4 hours sharpening the axe. You want to set the conditions for success. If you don't take the time to prepare and create a strong why, the mission isn't going to be successful. You're going to fall off, and this is what you've done in the past, right? So let me ask you, you want to fix skinny fat. You want to feel more confident. You don't want to feel invisible anymore. But why? Have you ever thought about why? All right, the visual change, yes, I understand, but really what's going on? Has someone bullied you in the past for how you look? Has somebody made a comment recently? Has a girl left you? Do you find yourself getting very nervous when you talk to girls because of how you look? What's happened in your personal life? What rocket fuel can you bring up internally from your life experience and from what's happened to you personally? And this is unique to absolutely everybody. And this is what it was like for me in university. I was a laughingstock at university, and it wasn't just because of how I looked. It was because of how I acted, because of how I looked. I had no confidence at all. I would get nervous turning up to a seminar room full of fucking 15 people, even when I didn't have to speak, even when we weren't presenting. That was very daunting to me. Now, as an 18-year-old man, when you're trying to come into kind of manhood and feel manly, feel like an adult, that just rips the fucking soul out of you. And then what I would do to make myself feel better is just get absolutely off my tits on as many substances and drugs as I could get my hands on, and embarrass myself because of the state I was in, which was then just creating this cycle where I'd feel even more nervous being in social situations, so I'd get more fucked up, and then I'd get more nervous, more fucked up. That was where I was stuck at for a couple of years. I don't really have to call upon that often now because my mission and purpose of what I'm trying to do in life and the people I'm trying to help and the impact I'm trying to make on the world is far larger than that. I don't really have to call upon it. But that's what I did call upon for a long time. That was my why. I used that as rocket fuel. So my question to you is, what is your rocket fuel? Somewhere inside of you, there is a story or a memory or a comment that somebody has made that will make you absolutely bulletproof if you harness that energy. Create a little villain arc, or a hero arc is probably a better way to look at it, right? You're trying to get revenge for these comments or the way that people have treated you in the past. Now, this is like dark triad psychology, and you've got to be very, very careful with this. You're trying to get revenge, but the power is in your hands. You're not trying to do it to prove somebody else wrong. You're trying to prove yourself right. There's a huge, huge difference with that. The power remains in you rather than giving the power to somebody else. But it's unlimited energy, guys. You have to tap into this. So self-discovery is the first step. Why are you doing this? Why do you want to fix it? Step 2 is a priming phase, or you can think of it as a data collection phase. Coming back now to strategy and physiology. We're going to set you up with custom macronutrients. We're going to set you up with a training program and an expenditure protocol, steps, cardio, and we're going to collect data over the course of 2 weeks. We're going to look at your scale weight in line with nutrition and expenditure, and we're going to see how weight has responded. And that will essentially allow us to understand where you're at from a metabolic standpoint. Now, this is really important because there's 2 strategies or 2 approaches that we can take for fixing the external. And I'm going to cover that in a later step, but we need to figure this out first. Step 3 is installing a new operating system. Now, we actually do this at the same time as step 2. So we don't wait until the 2 weeks is done to initiate step 3. We're going to do it at the same time as step 2. We need to arm you with a new way of operating, with a habit system and a structure to follow on a day-to-day basis. The boxes that you need to tick is dictated by the training program, the nutrition protocol, and the cardio. How well you tick the boxes and how consistently you can tick them over time and how long you can do it for is crucially important. It doesn't matter what boxes you have to tick if you can't tick them, if you're not the kind of guy that can relentlessly just tick the boxes. It doesn't matter how good the boxes are to tick. So the problem that you've faced in the past is either you've ticked the wrong boxes, which then in that case, it doesn't matter how consistent you are, you've got the wrong boxes to tick, you're not going to move forward, or you have the right boxes to tick, but you're not the kind of person that can actually just tick them every single day, day in, day out. So we need to give you that structure and install the new operating system within you so you are now that person. The habit system that you're going to install creates personal daily growth, so there's progress every single day, but also it's a structure that you follow. So don't think of this as like all of the fitness boxes to tick have to be added on top of your already busy life. You have to focus on career, you have to focus on money, you have to focus on business, you have to focus on maintaining your relationships, maybe you've got kids. You have to focus on all those things because they're the real priorities in life. That's your main focus. We're not adding to that, we're giving you the structure to put all that within. And there's a big difference. That's streamlined, that's efficient. It allows you to be someone who can basically manage both priorities in life. Personal side, but then also everything else that you're focusing on. And the habit system also builds trust in self. Now, confidence is the positive prediction of the future. Having a belief system that serves you for what you're doing is absolutely crucial. You need to be doing or believing you can achieve anything in whatever you're doing. The way we build that and that belief is through confidence, and the way we build confidence is self-trust. If you have all these boxes to tick from the fitness standpoint, but then personal things you need to do, like errands you need to run, things you need to do at work, and a habit system, and you tick them off relentlessly every single day, and you get to the end of the day and you reflect and you go, I've stayed true to my word. I've got everything I needed to do today done. And although I may not see the progress today, I know that this is an integral part of the process, just getting today ticked off, repeat, repeat, repeat. That's what progress is. Big goal broken down into smaller chunks and then just relentlessly go day by day, smash those boxes. That's really all it is. So we need to get you in a position where you fully trust yourself, and then we move on to step 4. This is where we're going to pull the trigger on the chosen pathway for you. So back to physiology and strategy again. Depending on the data that comes back, depending on your visuals, depending on how much muscle mass you have and how much body fat you're currently carrying and how much needs to be lost, there's 2 options. We either do a recomposition phase where we sit at maintenance calories and essentially drop body fat at the same time as building muscle, and you will see a visual change. You will see a bit of a scale weight change, but it wouldn't be anything too drastic. It would be more visual. The other option is to go for an aggressive fat loss phase and then reverse diet back out of it when the time is right. And the fat loss phase length depends on where you're at and how much body fat you have to lose. But there's not one size fits all. It depends on you. But once we lock that in, that's what we're going to run for the next 10 weeks. So we have the 2-week priming and data collection phase, and then the remaining 10 weeks in the 90-day process, 12-week process, is going to be locking in to that chosen pathway. So once we identify that, once we've done the 2-week block, installed a new operating system, and then selected the chosen pathway for you, it's a done deal. It's literally thermodynamics, lads. It's biology. It's physics. It's going to work. This is what you must understand. I know you've tried in the past and it hasn't worked for you, but you've either had the wrong strategy or you haven't followed it for long enough, or both. But this rectifies all of these problems. And then we've got continuous development. Now, I've not called this step 5 because it's just kind of an ethos. It's a philosophy. It's something that you must do. We need to continually develop because this is an infinite game. Using fitness as a tool to leverage life and improve every area of life is open-ended. It just continually has more impact. So you becoming more intelligent and in tune with yourself and developing resilience and a strong mindset, there is no end to that. Therefore, the journey to achieving the real, truest, highest version of self and fulfilling your potential is infinite. It can go up to your final days on earth. So we need to crack on now. We need to continually develop. You don't install the new habit system and then that's job done. No, there's a learning process that needs to just basically be part of your identity now. And there's 3 habits within my FP7 habit system that really move the needle on this, which is alignment in the morning, reminding ourselves of what we're working towards, who we're trying to become, the lifestyle we're trying to create, the reality we're trying to design. That is ever moving and ever changing. As you build trust in self, you become more ambitious. That will change, and rightly so. You should make it more ambitious. The type of money you want to earn should be increasing. Where you want to live should be improving. The kind of lifestyle you live and the freedom you have should be ever developing and growing as you become clearer on what you actually want from life. We also have learning, 30 minutes of education every single day, non-negotiable. You can either, I do both, I do 60 to 90 minutes of learning every single day. You can either learn about mindset or you can learn about skill development. So let's say you're in sales, you use your 30 minutes of education to learn about sales, improve something related to career or business. But then there's also mindset stuff and spirituality stuff, emotional control. There's so many things, stoicism. You know, you can go down any avenue you want, whatever interests you the most, but we must be learning every single day. You have a brain, you need to use it, right? And then we have reflection on an evening as well, and reflection is absolutely crucial. So we can show gratitude for existing, which is key, especially when it comes to manifestation and law of attraction. We have to be very grateful for everything we already have in order to get more out of this experience. But then reflect on the day. What are the lessons that we've got from today? It could be the best day ever, the worst day ever, the most boring day, the most interesting day. There are tons of lessons, and if you can pick up on these every single day, then you're moving at the fastest pace. I've actually just posted on my Instagram today from my journaling this morning. I've had the most profound thought I've ever had journaling. I've been journaling for 5 years, and that's just come as a result of me doing my morning calibration process and being in flow. You know, it gets pushed to me. It's actually a business idea and a bit of a life philosophy idea. That's just come to me today. That's what being involved in this process and continually trying to develop gives you. It's priceless. This is more than just fixing skinny fat, lads. You must understand this. This is more than just how you look. This is a tool, and this is the path to the life that you should be living right now. And the life you should be living is going to be different for everyone watching this video, but it's the one truest to you. You need to deprogram your mind from all of the societal programming and limiting beliefs that have been placed within you. How much money you can earn, where you can live, the type of life you can lead, the type of job you can do, how free you can be on a day-to-day basis, taking a random Wednesday off to go to the spa, to take a bird out to a beach club. What do you want life to look like? You know, this is what you need to create, and this is the vehicle in which you get there. And this goes back to your why. The stronger that why can be, the more you know why you're doing this, why you're embarking on this difficult journey, the more successful you're going to be. If you're tired of leaving all of this potential untapped, and you're scared of getting to 30 or 40 or 50 and looking back on these prime years and going, oh, wish I did more, wish I went for it. Now I've got a full family, which I'm grateful for, but now I can't really pursue that like I could. I've tied down with a mortgage, I've got this financial commitment, this time commitment over here. I can't really do it with work right now. If you don't want to be in that position, guys, then we have the system, we have the blueprint, and you're more than welcome to join the team and join the tribe. And you don't have to. It doesn't change me. You know, I'm not bothered. I've got my team and I've got my tribe. I only want to work with people who are serious, right? I'm not on a hard sell ever. But if you do want it, if you want this system and this blueprint, and you want to take it beyond just fixing skinny fat and really getting the life that you want, there's a link below. You can apply, boys. But more than that, just take the core elements from this video. You can change your life if you apply what I'm talking about here, even just from creating a stronger why. This could be the day that absolutely everything changes for you and your life goes in the direction that you actually want it to go in. So let's get to work, boys.